Hey everybody, Brandon Boyd with The Brandon Boyd Show. Thank you so much for watching. This video is going to be a lot of fun, and it's one that I've actually wanted to share with you for quite a while now, actually since the end of 2021. In this video, I'm going to be discussing all of the travel that we did in 2021, and also talk about how we used points, how we used our free night certificates, and much, much more, including the best places to eat at some of these stops as well, so stay tuned. Before we get started into the video, because we got a lot to cover, don't forget to be awesome, give me a big thumbs up on the video, and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications for alerts. We're growing like crazy, and thank all of you for being part of that. It's absolutely awesome. So we've got a lot to talk about, all right? We took a total of 13 trips this year. 13. A total of 54 nights in 2021 were spent outside of our home on a vacation or trip. That means that on average, there's 52 weeks in a year. There's 54 total nights that we were not physically in our home because we were traveling. That means that just a little over once per week, we were somewhere else besides our home. That's how much travel we did, all right? I think the reason that you watch this channel is because not only do we talk about credit card points and miles theory, but we actually show you what all of this looks like, right? It's important to see the end result of all of your work, meeting these min spends, getting these free night certificates. You need to know what it looks like. We're gonna start out in January of 2021 and just work our way down through the end of December 2021. I'm not gonna go through every point that we spent because I don't want your eyes to glaze over. What I want you to pay attention to are the ways that we were able to redeem our points, how we use them, and it may spark some ideas about how you can do the same thing. So with that said, I've got just a ton of notes here. I'm gonna read through all these notes. It's taken a while to do it. We've got a lot to cover. Let's get going. Even though we did a lot of travel last year, we actually didn't start any of our travels until March of 2021, and that's when my wife and I decided to go, just the two of us, on an adults-only trip to Walt Disney World. We spent 4 nights at the Hilton Lake Buena Vista property, and each of us used a $250 resort credit on each of our Aspire cards to go towards the room rate for the hotel. After each of us did that, I think we were out only like $50 or $60 total because the $250 from each of us helped offset the cost of the stay. We paid for Disney tickets with Disney gift cards purchased at Sam's Club, so we got a discount on the cards, plus we got 5 times on our Freedom cards because warehouse clubs were part of the bonus category in that particular quarter. That was Q1 of 2021. So overall, a very good trip. We had a lot of fun. It's a lot different when you don't have to stand in line with kids at Walt Disney World, I'll just say that. We spent most of our time just eating and snacking in the park, so nothing really stood out as far as that goes. If you've been to Disney World, then you know kind of what's there, but that was our first trip of 2021. Our next trip was in April of 2021, and this was in Sedona. We stayed 5 nights at the Hilton. We got our 5th night free because we booked on points, and we flew from CVG, that's Cincinnati Airport, to Phoenix on Southwest, and we used travel funds from Amex incidental credits for that. Happy birthday to you. Now, some highlights of this trip. We did do a pink Jeep tour, and we purchased this through the Chase portal to earn 5 times points. First of all, it's a beautiful area if you've never gone there. But Bell Rock is excellent for hiking. My then 7 and 10-year-olds were able to do it. And in fact, they led us through most of the hiking. My wife and I were just, huffing and puffing, trying to get up everywhere, and they would just run off and leave us. But it's a great place for both starters, beginners, and advanced climbers and hikers if you want a little bit of adventure and you want to see the landscape. Also, it's not surprising that Arizona would have some great Southwestern food. I would recommend checking out Elote Cafe. It was amazing. Moving on to May of 2021, we stayed 3 nights in Chicago at the Chicago Athletic Association, and we got 1 night on points and 2 nights with Hyatt Category 1 through 4 certificates. So there are different ways that you can earn Hyatt free night certificates, all right? Let me run through those real quick. First of all, you can pay the annual fee and get a free night certificate on your anniversary. You can hit 30 tier qualifying nights. You can spend $15,000 on the personal card in a calendar year. You can do the Brand Explorer, where you just stay at 5 different Hyatt branded properties. And you can also get a category 1 through 7 free night certificate when you have 60 tier qualifying nights. The location of this property was excellent, all right? There was putt-putt golf right across the street at Maggie Daly Park. The kids absolutely loved that. We also were able to check out the Museum of Science and Industry, and we purchased an annual pass for that, and I'll explain how that benefited us later on. I also recommend checking out Giordano's or Gino's East for pizza. Those are by far my 2 favorites. We also took in Chicago 360 at the Hancock Tower, along with the Tilt experience. And if you've never done the Tilt experience, it's crazy. They basically take you up to the top floor and you lean over the glass, and the glass actually tilts out and you're tilting over the street below you. They don't allow cameras or video in that area, so I wasn't able to actually show you what that looks like, but I can tell you it's a little frightening. The Chicago Athletic Association did give us 2 free nights to come back there this year. Actually, we've got that booked because we did have an issue with the air conditioning at the property. It was very hot in the room because the people controlling the thermostats assumed that they needed to have the heat on, but in all reality, you know, the weather was 60, a little bit above 60 degrees every day, and it made the rooms very, very hot. So I slept without the covers on for a few nights, but they did comp us 2 nights, and we're going to go back and check that out later on. Moving on to June of 2021, we went to Indianapolis for 2 nights. We stayed at the Hyatt Place, and we transferred Ultimate Rewards to Hyatt. We got free admission to the Indianapolis Children's Museum. Let me just say this, if you have kids and you live anywhere near the Indianapolis Children's Museum, you're going to want to check this out. They've got some awesome places to go inside of the museum, but then they have a complete outdoor area as well that has a huge putt-putt golf course. It has an outdoor experience where they let you play basketball, you can throw a football, kick soccer balls, hit baseballs. It's a huge complex, so if you have kids, I cannot recommend doing that enough. And we'd gotten season passes to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, which I just mentioned, and it actually provided free admission to the museums across the U.S. because it's part of the Association of Science and Technology Centers. So we were able to get admission into this awesome Indianapolis Children's Museum for free. Very, very cool. Let me be straight up with you, all right? Not every trip that you book on points has to be glamorous. If you want to stretch your points a little bit further, stay at a Category 1 property like we did here with the Hyatt Place in Indianapolis. You don't always have to have the Instagram-worthy photo of you on the beach somewhere in the Caribbean or something like that. You can stretch your points further by staying in a Category 1 property, and sometimes it's fun just to get away for the weekend. And for us, this was a fun trip for the entire family. In terms of food recommendations, we ate a lot of Taco Bell on this trip because it was close to the place that we were staying, so I don't really have a local recommendation, just lots of Taco Bell, but if you watch this channel, you're probably not surprised to hear that news. Let's move into June, and this time Kayla decided that she needed a girls' weekend in Destin with one of her friends. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, right? 3 nights, and they stayed at a Hyatt Place for 12,000 points per night. She did pay a cash fare on Allegiant. It was somewhere around $100 from Lexington to Fort Walton. She did that because the times were good, the price was really low. It was a no-frills flight. It was a very short flight. She used Southwest travel funds for the return flight, so this just goes to show just because you pay cash for your flight down, you could use points on the way back. And the times and the price and everything were good for that Allegiant flight, so it really wasn't worth her using any points for that. Staying in June of 2021, we decided to take a family weekend trip in our own state of Kentucky, and we visited Mammoth Cave and Kentucky Down Under. Once again, we did a Category 1 Hyatt Place, which makes it possible for a 2-night weekend trip. It makes it very easy to book those because it takes very few points to do so. And we took a lot of pictures while we were there, all right? Mammoth Cave is absolutely awesome if you haven't had a chance to visit. We did the historic tour, which was about 2 hours long. It's about 2 miles in length total. So if you want to do some kind of introductory hiking within the caves, this is a very good one to do. With Kentucky Down Under, if you want to see some kangaroos and some other crazy animals, this is a great place to do it. And who knew that kangaroos were native to the state of Kentucky? I had no idea. I'm just kidding, that's a total joke. But it was very fun to get to pet some kangaroos. It's not something that you get to do every day. And then probably my favorite part was the Corvette Museum. I desperately need one of these new C8 Corvettes. They look absolutely amazing. And I tell you what, leave me a thumbs up and comment down below if you think it's in my wife's best interest that us as a family have a Corvette. I think it's pretty important. It shows support for the state because Corvettes are produced in Kentucky. I'm just trying to support local product here. I have no self-interest in a Corvette whatsoever. In July of 2021, my wife and I traveled by ourselves to Washington, D.C., and we went to a Points and Miles meetup with the Travel on Points group. This is a Facebook group that's very, very active, and if you're not familiar with the group, you can check out the video I put out recently where I talked to one of the creators of the group, Derek Dye. He's very knowledgeable in credit cards, points and miles, travel money, and they have these meetups throughout the year. In fact, they just had one out west in California, and we'll have some videos with Derek coming up very soon, and he'll be able to explain what goes on during these meetups, and it's something you want to get involved with. So if you're on Facebook, make sure you check out Travel on Points because in my opinion, it's the best travel group by far on Facebook. We flew from Louisville to DC on American Airlines, And we love the ability to transfer Ultimate Rewards or membership rewards to British Airways and book short-haul American Airlines flights for 7,500 Avios points. We paid cash for 2 nights at Grand Hyatt because the cash fare was very low, and we wouldn't have gotten our threshold of getting 2 cents per point on Hyatt points. 2 cents per point is usually our threshold when we're looking at booking because we want to at least get that amount of value to justify using points for the stay. In terms of food, I've got to say, if you have an opportunity and you like Turkish food, check out Zeytinyağı by Jose Andres. It is tremendous. It was one of my favorite places I've actually ever eaten in general. And make sure you try their hummus appetizer. You will not regret it. You'll thank me later. Now let's move into our big trip. This was in August of 2021. We stayed in Maui for 10 nights, all right? We did 2 nights at Hyatt Regency. That was at 25,000 Hyatt points per night. And we did 8 nights at the Grand Wailea, which is a Hilton property. We had 3 free night certificates, 2 from each opening the Aspire card, and then 1 from 15K spend on the Hilton Biz card. And then you can also check out the resort videos for both of these as well, both the Hyatt Regency and the Grand Wailea. Those will be linked down in the description below, so make sure you check those out. And also, there's some current offers going on right now with the no annual fee Hilton card, the Surpass, and the Hilton Biz, for you to get free night certificates as well, and I'll put links for those again down in the description, so make sure you check those out. We were also able to take advantage of the 5th night free promo with Hilton because we booked 5 nights on points, so the 5th night was free. And we booked in advance so we could get standard reward availability, and at that time it was 95,000 points per night. We flew to Hawaii on United, we transferred Ultimate Rewards to United, and we used Amex incidental credit on the Amex Gold before it was taken away to pay for checks and bags. Signed up for a couple of American Airlines cards to pay for the flights home, so they were long flights, but we had those covered as well. This is really important because we stayed there for a while. I've got some good recommendations on food here. First of all, check out Mama's Fish House. Oh my gosh, even our kids loved it. They're not big seafood people by any means, but they absolutely loved it. Ululani at Hyatt Regency has tremendous shave ice. It is right next to the pool, right next to the beach, very conveniently located, and they have picnic tables there for you to take a break and get in the shade and check these out. It was amazing. All right, everybody stop the presses. This is really important, all right? This was the biggest part of the trip for me. There was a food truck on the Grand Wailea property that had tacos. It was a taco food truck. It was located right next to the pool, right next to the beach, and conveniently located next to the bar. So most of my trip consisted of walking to and from that taco truck, occasionally walking on the beach, getting in the water, coming back, getting more tacos on the way back in, and maybe having a margarita or 2. It was fantastic. Make sure you check out the taco truck at Grand Wailea. And also, while you're there, they have one of the most well-known luau's in all of Maui at this property. You want to make sure that you book that in advance because it fills up months in advance. And also, you'll want to book in advance for any resort activities as well. It filled up pretty quick while we were there, so if you can do that, a few weeks before you show up, find out what the calendar looks like, go ahead and do that beforehand, and you'll be glad you did because those spots do fill up. There are some high-end shops next to Grand Wailea as well, about a block away. So if you enjoy shopping, and Kayla definitely enjoys shopping, trust me, we may have spent a few dollars there, you can go to the shops right around the corner from the resort. The parking is very convenient there as well. And one other place that wasn't on the resort is Leota's Kitchen and Pie Shop. We stopped there. Oh my gosh, we actually stopped there twice, all right? We liked it the first time so much that we had to go back for a second run. Leota's Kitchen and Pie Shop, 2 thumbs up. Now let's move on to October of 2021. Yes, we skipped the entire month of September. I don't know what's wrong with us. We didn't book anything. But moving on to October, for our kids' fall break trip for school, we decided to take them to Portland, Maine and New York City. In Maine, we stayed 3 nights at the Hyatt Place Old Port, and then in New York City, we stayed 4 nights at the Guild Hall. Both of those properties are currently Category 4 properties. However, they are increasing to Category 5 after March 22nd. So use those Category 1 through 4 certificates with Hyatt now if you want to stay at either property because those will be changing very soon. And in general, just make sure you're aware of the category changes to lots of Hyatt properties coming up very, very soon. You'll want to know that before you lose the ability to use one of your Category 1 through 4 certificates, for example, on a property that could be moving up to a Category 5. In terms of food, my favorite place in Portland, Maine was Eventide Oyster Company. They had this brown butter lobster roll, and I'm not going to say how many of those I ordered, but it was very, very good. It was enough for me to order more than one, I'll just say it that way. Also check out Duck Fat as well. That was a very good place to stop at and get a snack. While you're in Maine, I also recommend doing a lobstering excursion. Now, the lobstering excursion can be a little bit messy in a way, all right? They handle chum and dead fish in order to put that into the bait traps for the lobsters. So if you don't like being around that, you don't have to touch it or anything, but you actually can. Our kids enjoyed messing with all this. They helped put out the traps in the water, and this is one of their favorite things to do while they were there. So if you have the time, take the opportunity to do it. Also, check out the Portland Headlight Lighthouse at Fort Williams Park. Our kids stayed here for hours throwing rocks in the water. They absolutely loved it, and the scenery there is amazing. When you think of lighthouses and you think of Maine, this is the place, all right? It's the Portland Headlight at Fort Williams Park. Make sure you check that out. In terms of tips for New York City, my number one tip is to not use a taxi, all right? It will cost you an arm and a leg to get back and forth wherever you're going. Make sure that you use the subway system. You don't have to be an expert or some super smart genius in order to use it, but if you don't, you will be out a lot of extra money. So make sure that you at least take a look at it and get an idea of what it looks like. It will save you a ton. Also, check out Prince Street Pizza. That may be my favorite pizza on planet Earth. It was amazing. Now, to be fair, when you order pizza from there, there's not really a place to sit and eat outside. It is very sparse when it comes to seating. I'm talking like maybe 5 or 6 seats total, and the line was around the block. So this is pizza that you're either gonna have to stand up and just stand around and eat. You can wait for one of those small chairs to open up, or you can have it delivered. Check out Prince Street Pizza, though. You'll be glad you did. And then also just something kind of goofy that I like to do because I'm a nerd. We stopped by Trump Tower because there was a Gucci store next door, and Kayla may or may not have picked up some Gucci shoes and a hat. I will not confirm nor deny that. But I decided to go into Trump Tower and ride down the escalator, right? There's this really famous shot of our former president riding down the escalator to announce his campaign, right? So while Kayla's in there shopping for shoes and everything, I walk into the lobby and I asked the security guy, I said, "Where's the escalator? I wanted to see where the escalator's at. You know what escalator I'm talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, I know what you're talking about." He's like, "It's right over there. You can go in." There was nobody around, all right? So I went and investigated. I was like, okay, I'm going to ride down that at some point. And so when Kayla got finished shopping and the kids were ready, they waited for me at the bottom of the escalator and they let me ride down and wave at everybody like a total goober, all right? I'm fully aware of that. But hey, life is short, man. Live it up. Do all the things that you want to do. If there's something fun like that, go check it out. It was silly, but a lot of fun. And about a week or so after we got back from Maine and New York, my wife and I decided to take an adults-only trip back to Orlando, Florida, this time staying at the Waldorf Astoria. We stayed 5 nights at 80,000 points per night, and again, because we booked on points with Hilton, we got that 5th night free. We wanted to go down and check out Epcot Food and Wine Festival. We also wanted to check out Halloween Horror Nights and a bunch of other Halloween activities down there. It's always fun. We love scary stuff. Some highlights of the trip for me, first of all, were the Bull and Bear restaurant, which are located on the first floor of the Waldorf Astoria in Orlando. And by the way, you can check out the full resort video and tour down in the description below. That'll be down there. And there's also a separate video talking about my experience at Bull and Bear Restaurant, most notably the tableside Caesar salad and the tableside dessert. It was absolutely amazing, and it's one of the best meals that I've ever eaten. The food at Bull and Bear is very expensive. By the time my wife and I got some cocktails and we got dessert and we got entrees and appetizers, it was about $300 for our entire bill. However, we used our $250 resort credit from our Hilton Aspire card plus the $50 daily food credit that we got, totaled up to be $300, and we just used that to pay for this amazing experience at Bull and Bear. So I highly recommend it. I absolutely love that place. If you are in Epcot, by the way, at any point, whether you're there for the food or wine festival, make sure you check out the margaritas at La Cava del Tequila. It's in the Mexican area of Epcot, and you will not regret it. I recommend at least having one. If you have 2, I can't guarantee that you're going to make it all the way around the world in Epcot because they are very potent, would be a good way to put it, but they are also very delicious. Moving on to November of 2021, we took another adults-only trip, and first of all, let me just say this. My kids get to go on enough trips throughout the year. They're going to be fine. They don't need counseling because their parents left them. They will survive, okay? So we decided to take another adults-only trip, this time 2 nights at the Palazzo in Vegas. We used Fine Hotels and Resorts $200 credit from the Amex Platinum, and each of us booked separate nights, but we didn't have to switch rooms or anything like that. And you can check out the room tour video for that down in the description below if you want to check that out. And then I absolutely love Vegas just in general, all right? We checked out the Shin Lim show, which is a magic act. Shin Lim was on America's Got Talent. He now has a show at the Mirage, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. It blew my mind. Maybe I'm easily entertained, I don't know, but it was one of the best magic acts that I've seen. And let me just say this, I'm not a breakfast guy by any means, not at all. I rarely eat breakfast, but we had free breakfast at the Grand Lux Cafe for booking through our Fine Hotels and Resorts. I highly recommend this place. I was very surprised at the free breakfast at the Grand Lux Cafe. Usually when you think free breakfast, you think, okay, it's going to be average at best. It's going to be just your average buffet or something, but the menu was great. Absolutely loved it. If you have the opportunity to get the free breakfast, make sure you check out the Grand Lux Cafe. Even if it isn't free, you'll absolutely love it. To get there, we flew from CVG to Las Vegas on Southwest travel funds, and then we flew back from Las Vegas to CVG, and we used $200 Delta credits from a sign-up bonus and a welcome offer on the Delta Biz Gold card. All right, guys, we're almost at the end of the year here. We're in December, and this time we took a big family trip, and we even brought our niece with us this time to experience some of the theme parks out on the West Coast. We used 35% back on membership rewards points with the Business Platinum to book flights to California, and we used the sign-up bonus on the Delta card to get flights back. So we stayed 2 nights at the Hilton at Universal Hollywood. This was very convenient, as you could literally just walk from the property over to Universal Hollywood. We then stayed 5 nights at the Fairfield Inn across from Disneyland. The 5th night was free when booking with Marriott points. The Fairfield, while it was very convenient, I mean, literally after the night was over with, after the parks closed up, you could walk right across the street almost to the Fairfield and be back to your room. It was nothing fancy. It was very convenient. However, things like the sleeper chair that were in the room were very uncomfortable. You can fit 5 people in the room, but that sleeper chair, we actually had to bring some extra comforters and padding in from the front desk to make it comfortable enough for our 8-year-old to be able to sleep on. Next time, we'll probably try the Courtyard Marriott. We'll splurge a few more points and stay there. It looked like it was a little bit nicer of a property. There was also a Panera at McDonald's right next to the property. And if you have one of the free Panera subscriptions where you can get unlimited coffee or iced coffee, this is very, very convenient. And typically you'll see these offered on, I feel like, just about every Amex card. Not really, but you'll see it a lot. If you have Amex cards, you've probably seen this offer pop up to get 6 months free of this subscription where you can pick up a free coffee every single day. And my wife took advantage of that to start every day while we were there. She would drink it on the way into the park. And finally, to wrap up everything, my wife decided to take a 2-night trip back to Orlando in December. She stayed at the Hyatt Regency Grand Cypress, and this was another weekend getaway trip so she could go shopping. She absolutely loves the outlets at the Vineland Premium Outlets, especially the Burberry and Lululemon outlets. Trust me, I know, I guess see the bills later on. She does love it, trust me. The property she stayed at is actually very good for a Disney vacation. It's very close to Disney Springs, and it has awesome pools. And this is another one of those properties that is increasing very soon. It's increasing from a Category 3 to a Category 4 after March 22nd. As far as food, she absolutely loves Wine Bar George, and she went there while she was on this trip, but we also did that when we were on our trip as well, so I didn't want to mention it until here. But Wine Bar George is fantastic. It's in Disney Springs. They have all kinds of good snacks. If you just want to go in and get appetizers, you'll be more than happy with it, and then if you want to get entrees, you'll be happy with that as well. So Wine Bar George, make sure you check that out in Disney Springs. Whew. All right, that was a lot of travel. That was a lot of notes, to be honest with you. It was quite a bit. But I hope you were able to follow along with all that and at least get a feel for how my wife and I choose to redeem our rewards. I also want to address something else because I know there will be some people that will say, well, how much did you have to pay in annual fees in order to get all these points? Well, first of all, it's not as much as it would be to pay out of pocket for even one of these trips, all right? By the time we paid for some of the annual fees for these trips, and then we also paid cash 2 or 3 times throughout the year for different flights and maybe for part of a room rate, that total cost is probably equal to what some people would pay for one trip in an entire year. We were able to take 13 trips. I've got the notes and all the documentation here, trust me. So if you're telling me that I can get 13 different trips for the cost of 1, maybe 2 trips, I will take that every single day of the week. And that's the value of accumulating these free night certificates, rewards points, all these things, is to be able to do things. You don't want to just accumulate these, you actually want to use them because a lot of times they get devalued over time as well. So you want to earn and burn these as much as you possibly can. As soon as you get them, try to book them. Go out and have fun. You only live one time, all right? But you can do it responsibly with credit cards, points, and miles. You don't have to empty out your entire savings account just to take 1 trip per year. You can do what I just did and pay for the 1 trip a year, but turn it into 13 separate trips and 54 total days on vacation. That's quite a bit. I know it's probably not normal, but it just goes to show what you can do with a good strategy in place. Let me know what you think about these destinations down in the comments, or especially any of the food choices that I made. Are there any other places you would recommend for other people that are interested in traveling to these destinations? Keep in mind, we have a lot of new people in the credit card points and miles world that are watching this video, and if you have any advice that you can give, leave that down in the comments below. It'll help somebody out. And do me a quick favor as well. Make sure down in the comments you remind my wife that we do need a Corvette and that it's a good investment. All right, if you can leave that down there, that would be very helpful. Overall, let me know what you think. I hope this was helpful to everyone. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, don't forget to be awesome. Give me a big thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notifications for alerts. And when you click on the Brandon Boyd Show, click, click, click. It's going to be time to check in on everything related to credit cards, points and miles, travel, money, and everything in between. And I look forward to seeing all of you on the next episode. We'll see you soon.